The story begins on an ordinary morning in Dubai. The sun rose over the glass towers, turning the desert sky golden. Luxury cars glided across wide boulevards, men in tailored suits hurried into meetings, and women in silk abayas strolled into designer boutiques. But behind the shimmering surface of wealth, in the narrow alleyways where workers lived, another world stirred to life. In a cramped one-room apartment, Aisha tied her headscarf, washed her tired face, and prepared for another long day at the hotel. She was a black woman from East Africa, widowed young, who had left her homeland with nothing but the hope of giving her only son a better chance at life. Her hands were blistered from years of scrubbing tiles and polishing silver, her back bent from carrying the weight of survival. Yet, she never complained. Every coin she earned was a brick laid for Malik's future. Malik, her son, had grown into a tall, lean teenager with sharp features and a gaze that seemed older than his years. He rarely had new clothes, most were hand-me-downs donated by other workers. At school, he was mocked for being the cleaner's son, whispered about for his dark skin, and sometimes ignored by teachers who assumed children of servants had little chance at success. But Malik carried something inside him that no insult could erase, a fire to learn. His world was languages. Since childhood, he had been fascinated by how words changed shape and meaning across cultures. At 6, he shocked his mother by greeting a tourist in fluent English, though she had never taught him. At 9, he began piecing together French from a battered book he found discarded in the hotel lobby. At 12, he saved coins from his mother's tips to spend hours at an internet cafe, watching YouTube videos and teaching himself Spanish and Italian. Later came Mandarin, German, Russian, and Portuguese. He would sit by the window at night, repeating sentences under his breath until he got the accent just right, his mother smiling proudly even when exhaustion pulled at her eyelids. But the world rarely applauds hidden talent until circumstances force it to reveal itself. One afternoon, Aisha was on her knees polishing the grand marble floors of the hotel lobby when a man in a white kandura entered, surrounded by bodyguards. It was Karim al-Mansour, an Arab millionaire whose name carried both wealth and arrogance. He was the kind of man who enjoyed his own power too much, who measured people not by character but by their bank accounts. As he strolled through the lobby, his eyes fell on Malik, who sat quietly nearby with a notebook in hand, waiting for his mother to finish work. Karim stopped and smirked. "Why is there a boy in the lobby?" he asked loudly. "Hotels are no place for children of cleaners." The staff froze, their faces pale. Karim enjoyed these moments, when fear filled the room. He looked Malik up and down and sneered. "Tell me, boy, do you want to grow up to mop floors like your mother? Or maybe carry bags for real men who make money?" The lobby went silent. Aisha's heart sank. She wanted to pull her son away, to shield him from the cruelty of the rich man's words. But before she could speak, Malik looked up, his dark eyes steady. His voice was calm but carried an edge that demanded attention. "I speak 9 languages," he said. The words rippled across the lobby. For a second, even the ticking of the golden clock on the wall seemed to stop. Then Karim burst into laughter, a loud mocking laugh that echoed against the marble walls. 9 languages? Don't joke, boy. Men twice your age can't master even 3. He waved his hand dismissively. "Say something, then. Impress me." Malik rose to his feet, his book still in hand. Without hesitation, he began to speak. First in fluent Arabic, then in crisp English. The lobby workers raised their heads in surprise. Then French rolled smoothly off his tongue, followed by Italian, then Spanish, then Russian with its hard edges. The room grew still. He moved to Mandarin, his tone precise, then German, sharp and clear, before ending with Portuguese, his voice soft like music. One by one, the languages spilled out, flawless and confident. By the time Malik finished, silence swallowed the entire room. Even Kareem's bodyguards stared in disbelief. The millionaire's laughter had died somewhere between Russian and Mandarin, and now his mouth hung slightly open, unable to form words. For the first time in a long time, Kareem was speechless. But pride would not let him admit admiration. He forced a smirk and muttered, "Parlor tricks. Words don't put food on the table. Remember who you are, boy. A cleaner's son will always be a cleaner's son." Then he walked away, though his eyes lingered on Malik longer than he intended. Malik returned to his seat, his expression calm, but inside his chest, his heart raced. His mother approached him, her eyes brimming with tears, and she whispered, "You made me proud today." Those words meant more to him than any applause. But the test of his gift came sooner than anyone expected. A week later, the hotel prepared to host an international business summit. Delegates from across the globe flew in: Europe, Asia, America, Africa. Deals worth millions hung in the balance. The staff buzzed nervously, and everything had to be perfect. But disaster struck when the interpreters hired for the event got stuck in a massive traffic jam caused by a highway accident. The conference hall filled with tension as delegates struggled to communicate, conversations breaking down into fragments of misunderstood words. The hotel manager panicked. Millions in contracts could collapse. Staff members whispered frantically about what to do. Then someone remembered the boy, the one who spoke 9 languages. At first, the manager hesitated. He was just a teenager, after all. But with no other choice, they called for him. Malik stepped into the grand conference hall wearing the same worn shirt he had worn the day of Kareem's mockery. The delegates frowned, unimpressed by the sight of a teenager. Some even chuckled, thinking it was a joke. But then Malik began to work. He translated seamlessly between English and French, then switched to Mandarin when Chinese investors raised a point. A Russian delegate nodded in approval when Malik relayed his thoughts perfectly. German executives leaned forward, astonished at the clarity of his speech. Spanish and Portuguese rolled off his tongue as if he had been born in Madrid or Lisbon. His young voice became the bridge that connected men who would otherwise have sat in silence. The conference, which had been on the brink of failure, now moved forward smoothly. Papers were signed, hands shaken, deals made. By the end, delegates clapped Malik on the back, praising his brilliance. Journalists present at the event wrote stories that spread quickly across the city. Cleaner's son saves international summit with 9 languages. And Kareem? He had been in the room the entire time, watching silently from the corner. His face burned with the memory of his own laughter in the lobby. The boy he had mocked had done what no interpreter could do under pressure. He had carried the weight of nations on his young shoulders. That evening, Malik returned home to his mother, who was waiting anxiously. When he told her what had happened, she broke down in tears and hugged him tightly. "Your father would be proud," she whispered. Malik held her and knew, deep down, that this was just the beginning. Soon, offers came, scholarships from prestigious schools, interviews with newspapers, and invitations from companies seeking his skills. Kareem himself approached Malik, offering him a lucrative job as his personal translator. But Malik declined with quiet dignity. He wanted to pursue his education, to build a future where he wasn't defined by serving a millionaire but by shaping his own destiny. Years later, Malik would become a renowned linguist, a bridge between cultures, a living reminder that brilliance can be born in the humblest of places. And whenever he spoke at universities or conferences, he would always begin the same way: "I am the son of a cleaning lady. She gave me everything she had, so I could give the world everything I could become." The story closes with a powerful lesson: wealth may buy luxury, but it cannot buy wisdom, resilience, or the fire of the human spirit. Never underestimate the child of struggle, for in their silence may live a voice that speaks to nations.